This forecast update effective around 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, September 26, 2013. And guys, just want to let you know that we're looking at the possibility of the largest swell event of the year so far setting up. And again, we emphasize possibility. We're going to show you what we're looking at and how we're trying to put it together. Nothing is etched in stone at the moment, obviously, but just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. Start you off in the Southwest Caribbean as we have an area of low pressure that is forecast to possibly move up towards Jamaica and over Cuba and into the Bahamas around the first week of October. Models are hinting that we may see something develop there. Again, not a lot of confidence in the long-range forecast of the models. The next thing that we're looking at is a tropical wave that is just east of the islands. We've got a nice flare-up of convection today. Unfortunately, the same thing we've seen all season long is high wind shear in the region is likely to prevent anything from developing in here, but we are keeping an eye on that. And this could play into the long-range forecast as well. The talk of the town, or what we're watching now, is we've been watching a series of low-pressure centers moving off the east coast, southeast U.S. coast, east of Florida, and progressing off towards the east-northeast. The first big one moved off the coast yesterday and is trying to explode over Bermuda. The Paul West Bermuda buoy is cranking right now. East-northeast winds or northeast winds, 25 to 30 knots with gusts to near gale force. We're going to be watching that to see how long that holds, and we're also watching the next low moving off the coast in real time now, and we're going to see if we can't get this to try and tighten up a little bit as well. There is a gale that's supposed to develop out of this as it rides up the east coast, passing the Outer Banks over the next 72 hours or so. Again, wind shear is high in this region and likely to prevent anything to develop tropical in nature, but we could see some type of hybrid storm. Now, models have been tracking a little bit further off to the east in the last model runs, keeping it away from the coast, and for us surfers, that's what we want to see. But show you what we're looking at up in here in the North Atlantic. There is an area of low pressure up in here to the North Atlantic, south of the tip of Greenland, and this is forecast to bombify to a 985 millibar low, and seas are going to be increasing 15 to 20 feet, maybe a little bit higher, but it's the shape of the low that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days to see if we can get a decent fetch aimed back out at the east coast of the United States to help increase the possibility of the largest swell event of the year so far. Nothing epic, but we are going to get some large waves, especially down into the southeast, probably from the mid-Atlantic and possibly down into South Florida. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the forecast. But this gale center that's located up in here to the North Atlantic is going to get a northeast groundswell started. And in the 96-hour Atlantic marine forecast, you can see that some 9 to 10 second northeast groundswell will be generated by this system as it begins to track off towards the east and over towards England. And we get into the 96-hour forecast. We got a developing gale system that's located here just to the southeast of the Outer Banks, and seas are going to be increasing in here 10 to 12 feet, could get as high as 12 to 15 feet, and that is going to also create a wraparound background northeast wind swell. Now, the hope is that low is currently forecast to move up towards Greenland, just where the other one is. And you can see that in the right-hand side of this image, here's where that northeast groundswell that's being generated by that gale center south of Greenland is starting to kick in. And the hope is that this low is going to go back in and take its place and reinforce the northeast groundswell that's already established. So that's what we're looking at the moment. As far as surf size is concerned, start you off down here in South Florida. South Florida looks like with with this gale setting up off the east coast, probably some waist to chest high surf, possibly up and towards the head high range. Mind you, choppy conditions. We're looking for head high to overhead surf into northeast Florida and then down into central Florida. Unfortunately, the Outer Banks is going to catch the brunt of the strong winds, but it's going to be later, guys, after this storm system moves up into the North Atlantic, that we're going to have to wait to see if we get a long period groundswell out of this with lighter winds and some cleaner conditions. That's what we're looking at the moment, guys. Stay tuned for the next update.